Hello, welcome to Reframing Mindset Podcast. We are clear my head of the thoughts that are preventing clarity, practice my speech, among other things. Episodes range from informative knowledge to funny stories about my experiences, and in the future, maybe include interviews. So subscribe and enjoy. Episodes drop every other day. Okay, now welcome back to Reframe Mindset Podcast. My name is Carlton Brooks, and this episode we're going to talk about the next thing that I learned in our next life lesson, next life lesson. I may have mentioned it before. I more likely don't. But the next one is don't learn things in a vacuum. And this was taught to me by my chemistry teacher. If you listen to the podcast, you'd have known my story with the chemistry teacher. But that lesson, it really was valuable. And I it was the most valuable lesson that I gotten at the most important time in my life because but then before I got there before I got that lesson, you know I I had unfulfilled unrealized potential. I was naturally good, if you get what I mean. I was naturally good enough to do. I was like, talent versus hard work. Hard work beats talent when talent was to work hard. So I was talent. Talent was what carried me where I'm at. So when I reach high school, if you listen to the podcast, I know how I got my degree. When I reached high school, I was basically like the bottom, the last brightest. So what happened was in primary school, I was basically using talent to basically get me through school, and the talent wasn't really. It was good enough to get me to my first choice in high school, but it was get me to the bottom. So while I did well, I'm going to the top high school in basically one of the top high school in the city. So my well wasn't really good enough when I compared to. And I'm going there with basically the best of every school, uh, best of every school, best of every. I'm going to the high school in grade 7 with the best people from every primary school. So when they mash up their grades and such like that, my grade was my grade and my overall GSAT grade was basically like 75%. But when I actually reached the school, yeah, guys basically coming in with 98%, 99 and stuff like that. So by 75 wasn't good enough. So I was at the bottom. I was basically at the bottom. So I had to build my way from the bottom. Basically I had to build my way from the last brightest. But by grade 8, I actually reached the first brightest. I was in the brightest class. So from then until graduation from university, I was in the top, one in the top. So but while I was in the top class, I wasn't really a top performer. I was good enough to pass the test and do well, but I procrastinated a lot. I never really studied. I was just using basically talent to really see and push me. But when the chemistry teacher came, she changed my whole world because all the cheap tricks that I usually use and stuff like that, all of that she basically threw it away. I was like, yo, that's gone. That's gone. You have to actually put in the work now. So that's what that chemistry teacher did. She basically come in and say, oh, all of that is gone. All that bullshit is gone. You actually have to start do work now. And when I actually start putting the work now, I realize that this level is hard, bro, because this level is like a new level. So when I reached grade 10, that's when I got introduced to the chemistry teacher. It's like a new level because what happened is like you're saying like everything that you learn in 8th grade and 9th grade, throw that away. We're learning new stuff now. And all those and then you start looking at your grade. If you remember the story I said, she came in and look at my grade and see like 50%, 50%, 60%, and be like, yo, Colin, why are you here? But then I had huge anxiety, huge anxiety. So basically it was like, yo, it's thrown all of that out. It's time to do actual work. When it was time to actually put in actual work, I was struggling. I was struggling because what happened was I was using talent, and then now I have to actually put in hard work. And it's like, yo, hard work is hard. Hard work isn't easy. So it took me some time. So when I reached grade 11, while I was trying to put in the work, it got me barely passing, barely passing. But I did pass, and I did well in certain. I did well in there. So what happened was talent could get me through some out of the subjects, but like for chemistry, I had to put in hard work, and the hard work got me barely passing, like 50%, because it, because what happened was that this teacher was giving me no slack, like legit giving me no slack. It's like, yo, you're just like everybody else. I'm I'm not giving you no slack, no shortcut, no cheap tricks or nothing. You have to just basically come in and you have to know your stuff. So basically, that's how the chemistry track came in. Like, yo, I was just barely scraping by, barely. It was like anxiety every time I'm going to that class. It would be like, yo, every trick is getting nullified. It's like every exam that I because we had monthly tests. Every monthly test I know that basically I was maybe going to fail or basically barely pass because this is like a new level. New level. And it's like I don't know how to really handle this level. So basically, actually made it out of high school, the 11th grade, got my diploma, and then I went back to university, went back to the same high school for grade 11 and grade 12. So in grade 11, grade 10, and grade 11, when I met this teacher, we were doing CXC. I know I mentioned that in a few episodes. The next thing, so when I came back in grade 12 and 13, we were doing CAPE, which is basically a higher level form of the CXE. It's the same body of person that are sitting the exam, but it's like a new level. So basically I get the same chemistry teacher again, and this teacher, when I came in, when I made it to the next level to grade 12, she's like being kind and be like, okay, yes, being okay and be like, yo, she was nice. Then I'd be like, okay, Colin, it's time actually to put in some hard work and put in the effort. She was being kind of encouraging me like, yeah, it's time to put in the work. I was like, yes, I'm actually, I was actually agreeing with her. I'd be like, yes, I actually want to put in the work because, yo, I barely made it to sixth form. I was like, because of the grades that I got, I barely made it. The only reason why I made it was due to the fact that I went to the school before, so I kind of have some preference. But when I actually made it to the 11th grade, a lot of people were better than me in the chemistry and stuff and every subject. There are people coming from school. It's just like grade 7 over again, where basically the best, the, the best of every high school is basically coming here because this is the top one of the top schools. So the best of every high school is coming here. And it's like, yo, when I actually went in, I mentioned the big three, the the person that basically are level ones. And if you mention some other episode where I talk about what CXC means and stuff like that, you know what the ones mean. It'd be like almost like you get 100. So that's what I was going up against. So basically, I was saying, okay, time to put in some hard work. I made it here, and it was by sheer luck. So it's time to put in this hard work. But what happened was on the first day, I slacked it off, start playing, doing the same thing that I was doing in high school, and then the chemistry teacher caught me again, and be like, yo, she's not having it. She's cursing me. We're like, yo, Colin. And then what happened was like she said like, yo, you better get the highest in the next exam, or I'm going to ban you from the class. And be like, wow, like this woman is pulling out no stop, and be like, that's that's wild, that's wild. That's where that's where hard work plus fright and flight came in. Fright and flight came in where be like, yo, I'm going up against the top people in my class in the highest, going up against these people with the highest grade and such like that. but I still have to get the highest. There's no joke. This woman, I don't know if she's joking or serious. It's like be like, yo, boom, I had to put in the work, and I eventually got the highest in the class. I didn't know that I even was going to get highest in the class, but I did. You know, but once I got it, she'd be like, "Oh, Colin, you're lucky." But if she's saying like, "Oh, this doesn't mean that I get cut it some slack," you still have to get the highest next month and just like that. But over time now, when she started teaching, she introduced this term, and she was basically saying that don't learn things in a vacuum. So this new level that we're at was like she was teaching concepts in chemistry. But what happened was that certain certain so we were learning chemistry, biology, and physics. I didn't do physics. But what happened was that there are certain things in physics or chemistry, no, or biology that they may mention that are applicable in chemistry. And if you just actually don't put certain things in a vacuum, you can maybe you don't really have to be studying. If you're studying for a chemistry test, you don't really have to be like, okay, I'm going to study for chemistry alone, something like that. You'd be like, okay, yes, you're actually studying for all three subjects, where certain things that you learn from one subject can really just be put together, can be applied in the next subject, or different learning style can be transferred from one subject to another. So that's basically what she was meaning, not learning things in a vacuum, because we were learning things in a vacuum. When she talk about one topic and then she leaves that topic and then go to our next topic, we don't even really think about the previous topic. We were just focusing on this topic and be like, yeah, and then teacher will say like, oh, yo, this is the last topic that we did. It relates to this topic, and we didn't even realize that because we were just trying to focus on learning on this topic. So that's basically what the vacuum was. We were just learning things in a box, and i- once we throw away that box, all that information is gone, and then we just get that new box and they was learning it. So that's basically how we were learning. And teachers that be like, no, you can't do it like that. Be like, yo, you have this big box of stuff. You have the big box of stuff, and then you have your tools. You have your tools. And then over time you get new tools, and then certain places now where you start to do certain things, you realize, okay, this tool that I use from this time can be used in this situation now. So I call it so boom, 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 and do that. And then over time you start to do complex stuff, and you realize, okay, this complex stuff isn't really complex. It's just made up of all these little things that I learned previously that come together to make the things complex. So if I can just break it down and then apply the small things that I learned, I could just make I solve that complex problem. So that's basically what don't learn things in a vacuum mean. Like the every time something get more complex, it's like a puzzle. And if you break down that puzzle into little pieces, then you can solve each pieces slowly until you solve the big problem. But if you just look at the big problem, you will never realize that it's just a, a small problem, a big problem broken up. You would realize it's a lot of small pieces that you just come together to make a big problem. You know, yeah. So why I'm telling you this is because this is what this knowledge is what really made me a top performer in university, except for that shortcoming. But what happened was w- when I reached university, I was going back on raw talent as well. So, but my raw talent was was supplemented by this knowledge. This knowledge made me say, okay, yo, certain things that I'm learning in a certain subject, I just apply to different subjects, and that made me don't really have to study that hard because I realized how to look for different things and just apply it different places. So that and what happened was when I left university, that also helped me as well, which is why I could basically switch. I can at the biochemistry I could switch to programming and learn programming because it's just a different mindset. I could just why when I went to do the license, it took me some time, but over time I got it. You know, because I wasn't learning things in a vacuum. I learned how to say, okay, certain things that I learned elsewhere can apply to this. And that's how I actually did it to where I'm at now. I'm at the home now. And I reached 1 year at this home. And what happened was me being able to live 1 year, being here 1 year at the home, actually made a lot of progress. It's due to me, all the stuff that I learned before I started this journey. That I was learning, watching all those YouTube videos and such like that, and learning people that were in it and doing it. All those stuff that I learned from way back when I'm in the position now, I start to understand that what they were meaning now. And then I start to say, okay, yes, I'm in this situation now. This is what this person do. And then this sounds like a right approach to what I want to do. And then so I just do it like that. So that's basically what not learning things in a vacuum does. So that would be this episode will be similar to like one of my previous episodes, which is learning, unlearning, and relearning. Life is a series of learning, unlearning, and relearning. That's basically what the episode was. So, so basically, what I've been saying is that when you're going through your life, you're learning a lot of stuff. Even the simplest thing, how to use a phone, you're learning how to use a phone. You're learning stuff on the phone, and those knowledge can basically be transferred into other places. But if you're basically tunnel vision, if you say like, okay, the thing that I learned on the phone only applies to the phone, you won't see how other things that you learn from the phone can apply to maybe a tablet. You'll be getting the tablet, be like, okay, this is not a phone. Let me just learn this stuff from scratch then and such like that. And we're not realizing that okay, the tablet is basically something like to the smartphone. One thing is that it doesn't read about it doesn't take calls really. Yeah. So that's basically the essence of what this episode is about. Don't put yourself in a box. You have to really think outside of the box and see things from different angles. Yeah. So that's basically for this episode. Thanks for listening. I look forward for the next episode. hmm
Well, this is the end of the episode. Thanks for watching and look forward for the next episode. To support this podcast, go to anchor.fm/cssb/support or become a sponsor for this episode. If you have a product that you want to have more exposure, DM me on the Instagram page Reframing Mindset Podcast or on Twitter at ReframingP. Either way would help. Thank you regardless for listening, and here's a preview for the next episode.
Talk about not probation. Because if you remember, listen to the 5th week episode there I mentioned when I said I'm not really out of the fire yet. I'm out of one of the worst parts where it kind of secured my place in the business, but it hasn't fully secured me yet. And so what I'm basically on all this time was probation. So all this probation is like it's like a 90 days, 90 days of the company testing me out and me testing the company out. So that the company is giving me all these tests to see if I can manage the work. And then my 90 days is basically saying, okay, yo, can I actually do the work that they're giving me to do? So that's basically the feeling process. So I can leave anytime or not. But so that's basically what I'm in now, that 90-day probation. And I'm actually getting paid, you know, because yeah. But going